The dead. What a morbid thought. Or is it? The Italians have something called morte amore, death in love. So maybe it could be a lot different than we at first thought. Morte amore refers to death while sharing love with your lover. I can't imagine a happier way to go if I must go. I'm sure the spirit leaves the body on an ecstatic note and has left many fond memories for the lover who is left on earth.
What is it like to die? Will it hurt? Will we be met by our loved ones who crossed over before us? Will the constructs that we worshipped, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, the Blessed Mother, will they be in attendance when we take our last breath? Or is it just blackness and eternity? The journey home is the journey of moving from fear to love. The death experience has been described by many spirit guides who lovingly assist us in this inquiry. They describe death as taking off an uncomfortable shoe and the relief that it brings, or moving through a dark tunnel towards a brilliant white light. I remember shortly before Dad died, he would see his long since departed parents standing at the foot of his bed, lovingly waiting for him to join them. He couldn't understand why the rest of the family didn't see them or hear them, and why we didn't join in the conversation. When he finally closed his eyes and left his body, I knew there was a great celebration on the other side. We are met by those we loved who chose to incarnate with us, or not, in this lifetime, and by all our guides and guardian angels. Some have been with us through all eternity, lovingly chattering away in our ear, while other guides are with us for a short time to support us with their wisdom and love during impactful events in our lives.
As we speak, we are walking around a very, very old cemetery in Harlem that happens to be the final resting place for many over the last 200 years. How many, I wonder, are truly resting in peace? Maybe they can no longer feel, but their spirits can feel, and probably have been reincarnated several times to live out their karma. What interests me more are not the people in the cemetery, but more importantly, all the beautiful people in this great city of ours that have achieved all the success that the material world can possibly offer. They present such a spectacular facade to go along with their material possessions. But they too are dead. However, more appropriately, they are dead and walking. In this case, their inner child has been wounded by life's disappointments, and they have become followers of their ego instead of their heart, and have become convinced that the material and not the emotional side of life will make them safe. They have become shut down to what they want most in life, and that is to be loved and loved deeply and unconditionally. And this feeling you can only get from a human. And it all starts with the human loving themselves first.
If
and
only
now
we
they have
could
something
remember
to share.
That life is a dream, a moment in time, that we are eternal beings of light. Those who choose to walk the earth, frozen, shut down, disconnected from their hearts and their true nature, are called the walking dead. I think that gives the dead a bad rap. Those who have chosen to cross over to the light are much more expanded in the awareness of the preciousness of life and the privilege of this adventure. The walking dead house within each their wounded child. They are not their pain, their heartbreak, their hopelessness or disillusionment. Fear calls to them and says, "Trust me. I know what you are and who you are comfortable with. I live in your mind, which is a much more trustworthy place than your heart. Wasn't it your heart that betrayed you? You will never feel that kind of pain with me. I will numb you to your life and all the betrayal that it brings."
Going back to the first show, it all comes down to one major choice, and that is to choose a life of fear or one of love. Then it is just a bunch of little baby steps. Let's step back for a moment and look at the anatomy of what fear causes, and how fear reinforces its agenda, and who this thing called fear really is. First of all, fear put simply is ego, and ego is a sign of the frightened little child who's reacting instead of responding to the changes we experience in life. Ego is a lack of confidence or trust in our abilities to make good choices because we have made mistakes in the past, and instead of learning from them and letting them go with love, we've become wounded and resentful, which makes it even harder to make decisions. The feeling of not being good enough, which precipitates this fear, starts in childhood and is taught to us by our loved ones and our society, which is motivated by fear, and most exemplified by Madison Avenue. None of this is our teachers' fault because it was what they were taught by their teachers. As a result of this, we constantly are struggling with our false beliefs and fears. No fun. We tend to constantly be struggling to be better at what we do and gain more material possessions and looking for greater recognition until we finally burn out and retreat from life in emotional isolation reinforced by alcohol, drugs, food, sex, and obsessive shopping without feeling anything but love. No passion, no excitement, just boring nothingness.
This wounded child requires healing and integration with the adult you. Quiet all the noise in your mind and sit in your silence. Soon you will distinguish the voices that you hear. Ask this inner child what it needs and wants and what terrifies them. Comfort the child. Let them know that the adult you will never leave them and that you will always love and protect them. Many times it's the wounded child who's running the show, this thing we call our life. We as adults think we're calling all the shots and making all the decisions about our life, when in fact, it's the scared little you. It's the wounded child that shuts you down and screams for the world to go away and leave them to the safety of their aloneness. Healing and transformation is our birthright. It only takes the willingness to recognize the illusion, to begin the healing process.
I say, drop your story now. Drop it now and open your heart to living a life of love and excitement. One of learning and exploration, and most of all, one consumed with passion and love, not fear. On one last note, fear says, I will make you safe. Love says, you are safe. Fear says, you must stay on the straight and narrow path. Love says, spread your wings and come fly with me. You are free and you are safe.
Give me the wallet.
Journey with me, baby. Take you on a ride. Cut the chase, let's race down to the lifestyle. Judging makes you crazy. Easy is so free. Come with me, 'cause mentally I'm lovely. To be loved, fearlessly to be loved, so holy. BuddhaBaby, shake me in my belly. To be loved, fearlessly to be loved, so holy. BuddhaBaby, shake me in my belly.
Hello and welcome everyone for joining us tonight in our series From Fear to Love, a journey of self-discovery. My name is Dr. John Querci. I'm an emergency room physician and an intuitive energy healer with a special interest in relationships. And with me tonight, as usual, is my co-host,
Hi.
Robin Paris.
I'm Robin Paris, and I'm a metaphysical life coach. And tonight's episode is called Dead and Walking. Now, that's a huge subject. We're going to talk about the passage when a soul leaves its body and crosses over into spirit. And then we're going to talk about those of us who are still on the earth plane, who are the wounded children in all of us, the wounded child, when we're cut off from our life source and we're treading the earth, but really disconnected. It's a big topic.
This is the most exciting part of the show for me, crosstalk. The reason I like crosstalk is because we have differences of opinion many times, and many times they merge by the end of the conversation, but they don't have to. But we get to know each other. We get to know our own feelings. We get to understand where the other person's coming from. And today, with the topic, death and walking, this is a very great topic because people are very aware of funeral homes and cemeteries and people who are no longer breathing, not viable, truly physically dead. And we could talk about crossing over and how the spirit leaves the body, which is a very important part of this. But more importantly, I think, is the part of death that people don't understand, that's more common and more epidemic. And I'm going to even make it more difficult. You take a city like Manhattan, a borough like Manhattan, and you have so many affluent, beautiful people. So many people with so many titles and so much money. No matter how much money or how beautiful or how talented you are or what credentials you have, you only have to walk about 60 feet and there's someone who has more. So it's the borough of endless opportunity. Now, the thing is, going back to last week's show, love, it's a conscious decision and an emotional choice. Well, you can't make the emotional choice if you don't allow yourself the conscious decision. Well, if you don't allow yourself the conscious decision, even though you put up this wonderful facade of prosperity and happiness and you're so great in society and you do wonderful at parties and clubs, you are the walking dead. Or should I say, dead and still walking. That person is much worse off than the person who is no longer walking. Because the person who is no longer walking can't feel. And that person's spirit can escape, leave that body, and actually reincarnate. So let's get back to the person who's emotionally suffering. Because once they get home and they park their Bentley and they go to their duplex, penthouse, and they're with their beautiful significant other, but they're unhappy. They have to numb themselves with food and alcohol and drugs, or just with another award. What do you have to say about that, Robin?
Well, we're talking about the wounded child, and we all carry it. There's a little Robin that lives inside of me. There's a little Johnny that lives inside of you. And a lot of times that wounded child runs our lives. We don't know that they're making the decisions, but they are. And what we hope to do on the path that we're on is to integrate, is to love and nurture and honor that child.